During our Farm Basics time today, we want to talk about herbicide modes of action, or as many people are now calling it, herbicide sites of action. What's the difference?
Well, when we see resistant weeds, a lot of times we'll say, well, that's resistant to Roundup, or that's resistant to ALS herbicides, or that's resistant to this, or resistant to that. And when we think about it, we don't want to group everything together. That's like saying, well, humans are resistant to chickenpox. No, some are, and some aren't. And so how do we break that down? So when we look at modes of action, okay, yes, there may be quite a few different herbicides with that same mode of action, same way that they kill weeds, but exactly at what site do they do those things within the plant? So you may have two different herbicides with the same mode of action. Hey, we're both growth regulators, but they may affect that plant at different sites. One may affect that plant right at the nodes, one might affect the plant further down or further out or wherever. So if you get different sites of action, that's really what we're looking at when we're trying to find which herbicide solutions are going to control some of these resistant weeds.
Just in the past few months at Ag PhD, we've released a free app for you. So if you're a farmer, you can look this up, or a non-farmer too, and you're just curious about how many different choices there are, you can search for Ag PhD MOA, the MOA standing for mode of action. So we call it modes of action there, but if you go into each product, it will basically tell you how it's killing it, at what site it's killing it, so you can get a little bit more information.
So for farmers, when they're looking at this, they're obviously trying to mix things up out on their farm a little bit. If they've got, say, common ragweed, and we know common ragweed is going to be resistant to a few different types of chemistries that are out there. So what farmers will do on their farms is say, you know what? Yes, I want to use Roundup as a control method for certain weeds on the farm, but I'm also going to add a different site of action out there to help me on the ragweed. Then I raised corn this year. Next year I'm going to raise soybeans. Well, in soybeans, I want to use a different site of action that I didn't use in my corn. So now if common ragweed was resistant to anything I did in corn, now I get another shot at it in soybeans. And then let's say I rotate the next year to wheat. Now I've got different sites of action available to me. Or even before I plant, I may have another site of action that I can use. So we hear all this talk in the media about these super weeds and resistant weeds, and it's scary to think, oh no, here's some weeds out there that are going to destroy crop production and there's nothing we can do. That couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, there may be one product that doesn't work so well on a certain weed, and maybe it's the most famous herbicide in the world, Roundup, that almost everybody knows what Roundup is, that, hey, that's a weed killer of some sort. Well, who cares if Roundup doesn't work? There's hundreds of other products out there that could actually do the job, and so it's up to farmers like us to figure out, well, what products are still working? Okay, let's use that and we can get it under control.
Yeah, because quite frankly, every weed is a super weed. Every weed can hurt yield, and that's a big deal. It hurts crop production, which is basically food production. It definitely can lower income on farms, so every weed's a super weed. It's not that big a deal. But anyway, with this mode of action thing, site of action thing, here's really, to keep it real simple, what you need to know. A lot of the crop protection manufacturers now are putting right on their herbicide label, hey, we're in group 2, our product's in group 2, or our product's in group 15. What that means is the group 2s would be like the ALS products. So you know if it's a group 2, oh, it's all that same chemistry, it's all that same basic general family. So if you're having problems with the ALS family or group 2s, you just avoid that one. It's not that tough to figure out. So we talk about the group 15s a lot. Those would be the pre-emerge corn herbicides that now also, many of them can be used early post-emerge in soybeans. Things like Harness, Surpass, Outlook, Duo, Warrant, Zidua. They all fall into that category. So the big thing is what farmers are really trying to do is use multiple modes of action or multiple groups every year on every different crop, and by doing that, it dramatically reduces the chance for weed resistance, and it dramatically increases the chance that we as farmers are going to have better weed control.
See, and it's knowledge like this that's going to help us control things like our weed of the week. We'll show you how to stop this tough weed and which site of action might work the best coming up later in the show.